If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and I would like to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Everyone and Their Mom, a podcast where stepmom and mom talk about their success with co-parenting and are working together to share their secret formula on how they made it all work. They have come a long way to get to this point. Their lives took a divide, a collide, then a crash, and everything you can think of when you think of what a co-parenting situation would be like. They made the most out of their blended family and also built a friendship in the midst of it all. Being a parent is so rewarding and can also be messy at times. Co-parenting can be even harder. These two mamas have learned to do it together, somewhat functioning and happy. They talk about blended families, co-parenting, relationships, their day-to-day lives, also staying on top of what's going on in the world and trending topics. The best part is 10% of their monthly earnings on Patreon goes to a domestic violence foundation. You can go stream Everyone and Their Mom wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again to Everyone and Their Mom for sponsoring today's episode.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest Nikki Srail. Nikki is the creator of The Mommy Mood, a newsletter, podcast, and brand for moms to discuss stories, wine, books, events, activities, anything momly. Nikki became a mom at 19 years old, and it changed her life. Creating this brand has allowed her to use her voice to create a mom community of unity. So welcome to the show, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you for having me on today. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and one of the things that I like to start off with, this show actually came about after I had my best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last 12 months, let's just say, globally, as moms and everybody has had every situation that we couldn't even imagine before hit us. So I'd like to start off with maybe if you could share a time in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Absolutely. So my life has been a journey that's now, trending upward. And as you mentioned when you introduced me, I became a mom at 19 years old. That was probably the lowest point in my life, although, it's the brightest and the lowest.
Right.
To say I was a bad teenager is an understatement. I was on a path of destruction, rebellion. It was a really tough time. My parents divorced in my teen years, and I think from there I was just taking a turn the wrong way. Mm-hmm. When I got pregnant with my daughter, I didn't really know what to do. My mom was very difficult to talk to because, she was absorbing the situation. Mm-hmm. So it was difficult for the both of us. And at that point, I had moved out at just 19 and, trying to go talk to people to see what to do. Had to get a job. I was currently in a community college, ended up dropping out just so that I could work and make sure that we could be supported.
Right.
And from there, she's now 9 today. So let me fast forward a little bit. From there, she's 9 today. I worked for about 4 years full time to be able to support her. And I hit a turning point after about 4 years when she was a little older, could communicate, could go to preschool. And I decided, I think I should go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at a daycare, so I was involved with kids, and the daycare was able to push me into the schooling situation as well. And I went to community college. It took about 2.5 years to get through that because I was just going part-time, still needed to work. Right. And finally, fast forward a little more, I actually just graduated in 2020 with a bachelor degree from Loyola University in Chicago. Okay. So full circle, almost 9 years later, I was able to graduate with a bachelor degree, push myself to become something bigger than everybody told me. You can't do that. You're not going to graduate. You're not going to be able to have a life for your kids. You're only 19. You can't do it. You can't. That's what everybody kind of shouted at me. And in my mind, it pulled me down a little. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of hearing it. I can, and I'm going to do it. And time is just, it's just time. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as I got there. And, and I did. But of course, I got that degree in 2020, the year of downfall. So 2020 was another big turning point. And although I was able to receive my degree, all of my applications, everything that I was going to school for, which I actually went for marketing, is just put on hold. Everything's put on hold. We're uncertain of this time of the hiring process. Hiring freezes all around. So then I sit back and I'm like, okay, well, I'm in a better situation. I'm married now. Actually have a 5-month-old now as well. Although during that time I was actually pregnant when I graduated. So I'm at a different point. I wasn't at a point where I absolutely need to get a job to support. I have a husband who's great and loving and, we're secure, but I'm the type of person, I'm just like, I need to do something. I want to make a change. I went to school. I wanted to make a statement for, hey, all of you young moms out there, it can be done.
Yes.
So from there, I come talk about the mommy mood. And I actually wanted to create a place where moms can come and not to talk about, there's plenty of Facebook groups out there where it's like, my son's got a scratch. What do I do? It looks like it's getting infected. And that's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking for a place for moms to come together and talk about activities they could do at home due to COVID. Things that moms struggle with daily that they just need to talk to someone who's been through it. Mm-hmm. A night, hey, I don't have my kids tonight. What should I do tonight? Things like that, uplifting things. And it actually started with a newsletter. And I began a blog newsletter campaign and got subscribers. And that's where I started my group. And it talked about different wines, things to do with your kids, book recommendations as you sit in the tub, have a glass of wine, drink a book, things to just ease your mind. And I just wanted a place for everybody to come together and for it all to be in one place so that you don't have to sit down and think, what do I need to do? Oh, let me look at the newsletter and see what recommendations are on here that I can do. Nice. And so, that's how my downfall came to where I'm at now.
Helping other moms. And I was also a very young mom. My history was that I was homeless at 10 to 13, went to foster care, emancipated at 15, and went to college early. Yet then I was a young mom at 18. I had my first son and had to get a job and learn things. I did get my degree after starting a business that was very successful. I was like, oh, I guess I should have this piece of paper because, it's weird that I don't have it. And it really blessed me and I learned so much. But it is a different route. And as a young mom, and if there's other young moms listening or parents that have maybe a young daughter who just announced, hey, I'm going to be a mom now, it's not the end of all. And for me, I think it kept me out of a lot of trouble. I mean, you and I, we may be in different age ranges, but if we were the same age range and we were the same age at the same time, we would have been best friends because I got into so much trouble also.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so
It was what I needed to do. In fact, I had to make friends with everyone to have a place to sleep every day during the homeless years. And so I had to learn how to really get out there. And I was in Hollywood and sleeping on the benches of the Troubadour and all these crazy things. And so the minute I had my child, it was like, okay, this is a game changer. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. This it changed everything for what.
Exactly.
And it was really hard. I don't know about, I'd love to hear your experience as far as how you were able to socialize and have fun and friends, because there's such a rift between friends that maybe have a child young and those that are still out there having fun.
Right. And so the first year was the hardest. And I knew that just like you, it was a game changer. I had to make a change. And I had come to that decision, although I'm not with the original father anymore. And I think that's where I had another downfall. And we split very, very quickly. It was about 6 months. She was about 6 months old and we had split. And that just threw me into another loophole. I am very blessed at the fact that I have a family who is there to support me and is nearby, because if I didn't, I probably would have lost her. It was really hard to understand what was happening at such a young age and understand that just because he's not there doesn't mean I can't do it. And I think in my mind, I had given up hope because it wasn't going the way as planned. I didn't have that marriage and then had the baby, and then it wasn't a happily ever after. It was I got pregnant. I think this is the guy I want to be with. And then realizing that, I had grown up and he wasn't quite there. Yeah. And then it's like, I can't have that. I don't want to get in trouble. But then when the split happened, it's like, then I went backwards and, I realized how much I had messed up. And so once I had finally kind of gone out, done my party, I need to get this all out. It was about when she was almost 1, I'm like, okay, let me get back into the game here. Let me support her, keep working. And I did. And so as far as social wise, it took about a year into her life for me to realize how to balance things. Because I feel like I didn't know what that word was at that age. It's like, wait, it's either this or this, but no, it's not. You can balance it if you do things right. And even to this day, now my friends are having kids now and having, some of them have like 3-4-year-olds, whereas my daughter's 9. So she's the oldest out of the group. And, now it's easier for me to understand, as far as the kids go, it doesn't matter. My girlfriends come over with their kids and my daughter's actually very accepting. It's like, oh, he's 4. That's okay. He'll come play with me. It's like, I have things he could do. And it's very easy for us to have a friendship now, and now I'm married to the love of my life and we have another daughter together, and understanding that, we have friends that aren't married and don't have kids, and, we'll get a sitter maybe once a month or so and go out, and it's okay to do as long as you're still putting your kids first. And, my friends that don't have kids, I think it's a little harder for them, because if they reach out and, hey, do you want to go out tonight? It's like, well, I can't. I have the kids. I didn't plan for it. So I think the biggest thing that I've put my foot forward with the friends that I have is we need a plan. I can't do that. You call me and let's go. It's, hey, next week, Friday, can you come out for a little bit? And I'll be like, well, let me see what's going on. Let me plan for this. Yeah. So it actually took years for me to be where I'm at socially now and realize how to balance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is very different and a balancing act for sure. I remember, and this is one thing I'd like to ask you, is how did it affect you as far as you mentioned a little bit about the people that told you can't? Now you have this baby and this is not possible. Now, for me personally, I remember my friends had just got little jobs that, maybe at the grocery store, the local, whatever.
Mhm.
And I came in and they were like, you gained weight, you're fat. And I was like, no, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that wasn't good. And I was like, well, it is what it is. And then I had to work. And so I ended up getting a really good job. With just a certificate from community college, I ended up working programming at JPL, which is like unheard of, because I knocked on the door and then they're like, now you think you're so good. You're better than us. You think and I was like, what are you taught? Yesterday, I wasn't good enough. Now I'm better. Then I lost weight, got into shape after oh, you think you're so in shape and better. And then, and no matter what it was, then it was, you got a poor car. Why don't you get a better car? And it was always this comparison. And I was like, holy smokes. The nicest thing to say on the air. And what is going on with all the judgment from one woman to another, or girl to girl? I guess we were young women at the time. And it took years. Some of them still ended up working the same job like 20 years later. And I ran into them and they're like, we were kind of not so nice back in the day, but you never said anything. And I was like, because I really, I didn't even know what to say, first of all, and I didn't want to go there. It wasn't about that. Right. So how did you overcome that kind of experience, or did you have any of that type of experience?
Yeah. So when I was pregnant, obviously I had gotten pregnant and realized I had to get a job, like a full-time real job. And at that point, I actually started working for Sprint, which is now T-Mobile, but it was Sprint. And I got really lucky. And I'll be honest, is because the hiring manager had been in the same situation that I was. She had her daughter at about 18, 19 years old and was like, you're gonna do well. I know the type of person you are, and you're gonna work hard, and I'm gonna give you a chance. And she's like, this is full time though. You've never had a full time job, so it's gonna be different. And within my first 6 months, I got promoted, and I became a floor manager there. And from there, I became an assistant manager. And obviously, my work ethic had grown, and I knew what I had to do and keep pushing forward. A lot of the people around me, and we were still young. So a lot of them were still in college, and they were going to get their degrees. And I felt a little pushback because, they would say, oh, you didn't go to college, or, oh, you'd reconnect with some people from high school or whatever. And they're like, oh, I know you had the baby, so you didn't go back to college and this and that. And it was a little bit of a letdown knowing that I was, busting my butt, working full time, and they were going off to get their degrees and were probably going to get better jobs eventually. But now, turning things around, there are friends of mine who are still working, like you said, it's like 10 years later, and they're still working jobs that I didn't think that they'd be working, or they're having trouble finishing up, or some of them didn't even get their degrees. And it's like, well, now the tables have turned. I'm like, if I could be a mom at 19, go back to school, get a degree, and make myself what I am now, and you're stuck and you don't even have a kid, or it's like, what's going on? And then you it's like, don't be hypocritical. It's like, you can do it. Right. And I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, but it's kind of like, when you're getting so much feedback of you're not going to be able to do it, but then, someone who's been through more hardships can do it. It just goes to show that it doesn't matter the place that you're in, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. It could take years, but as long as you're still working to climb that ladder, it could be done.
And I think there's something to be said with, when you become a mom, you will walk on fire for your baby. You will do whatever it takes. I needed that job at JPL because it had health insurance and childcare. And my baby was a sick baby who ended up in the hospital a lot with ear infections and high fevers. They'd have to put him on ice. And it was a couple of years of him being really sick. And so I would be at the hospital and at work. I had no choice but to do. I would never have applied for the job had it not been that it was for the love of that child.
Mhm.
So I wonder, for those listening in, it's almost like for the love of even our self-love, working on that, and or finding that hunger or that
Oh,
purpose
yeah.
that's beyond.
Absolutely. And talking about drive too, it's if I'm not pushing forth and putting in that work ethic, it's like, how can my kids want to push and be better? It's, to actually be able to go through that with my daughter watching, wow, mom's coming home and she's doing homework. It's like, wait, maybe I should do my homework. So, it's just showing them how to push forth and have that work ethic for a better life. And, for me, it's never been about money. Obviously, you want to live comfortably and provide for your kids, but it's also, I want to give my kids what they want. And I'm not talking about spoiling with particular items, but it's like, they deserve to go on vacation. They deserve to, my daughter takes horseback riding. It's, that's not a cheap thing, but it's a passion of hers. And I want to fulfill that passion. And to be able to do that means that I got to work hard. So
Now, one thing that I have found is that a lot of moms end up putting things down that are their passions. How have you been able to continue your own, whether it's dance, singing, whatever you love to do other than work and take care of everything? How have you managed to keep that in your life?
So it's funny you said singing and dance, and that's exactly what I did. That was my passions. I would record. So my daughter would like walk in, and I'll have my microphone out and my headset on, but it's she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm recording music." And she's like, "Well, I can hear you singing," and she would kind of she'd want to sit and watch and listen, and I feel like she's grabbed onto that trait. It's like now she's singing and such. And I'm like, you don't have to do that just because I do. That's my passion. You need to have your passions, which regardless, she's got the musical side of her because of what I've done. Although horseback riding is something that I was never able to do as a kid as much as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And so when she expressed interest, it's like, yeah, I didn't get to do that. So you're going to do it. I'm going to make sure it happens for you. And, but her other activity that she does is dance. And I try not to influence her with my background, she sees it. So regardless, she's going to be influenced in that way. But I always tell her, I say, what do you like to do? And what do you see yourself doing for years to come? What do you really enjoy doing? And dance now has become one of them. Yeah, I told her, I don't want to overwhelm her. I'm like, you can only pick a couple things. You can't overwhelm yourself. You still got to focus on school. And then you have a couple things on the side. So it's horseback riding and dance. And I was on a competitive dance team. So the one thing that's kind of rubbed off on her was when she said, I want to dance. And I said, well, how far you want to take it? And she said she wants to be on a stage and compete and all that. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to send you to the place I went just because that's the same mindset that I had. So as much as I push her to be her own self, there's traits that I notice that she's taken from me, and there are traits that I notice that she's developing on her own. And I think that's really healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And moms listening in, I have a special thank you shout out to our sponsors, and that is DavyPiper.com. They have some incredible sportswear, activewear, and funwear for mom. You are just tuning in. This is NBC's Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have a special thank you shout out to the sponsor of this episode, and that is Davy Piper. Davy Piper is a women's essential and intimates company that gives women unapologetic confidence, style, and comfort, no matter age or body type. Davy Piper celebrates the stories of remarkably brave women through their products. Each woman has a different story to tell, but they all seek to leave the world better than they found it, with premium clothing designed to make women feel as amazing as they are. Davy Piper's mission is to Davy Piper's mission is a comfortable bra in every woman's wardrobe. Visit davypiper.com to learn more about Davy Piper's commitment to empowering women. What I find most comfortable and amazing about this product is they have premium super soft fabrics, including bamboo and organic cotton. It's supportive, wire-free bras made for hard-to-fit sizes, including specialty busting sizes for eye cups. They have sports bras, sleep and comfort bras, versatile everyday bras, and more. Ultra comfortable bras, undies, sleepwear, loungewear, and activewear. Flattering classic styles with a modern twist. Fashionable features and thoughtful details. So, try davypiper.com to get your comfort on this season, and you can go to davypiper.com, davypiper.com, and use code Sheila Mac 20. That's discount code Sheila SHEILA Mac MAC 20, Sheila Mac 20, to save 20% on your purchase.
Yes, and if you're listening in, I think it's so important. If maybe you feel overwhelmed, especially this last 12 months, and you've put a passion on pause, whether that's swimming or dancing or singing or whatever it is for you, if you can get back to that, you will see that show up in your children. It doesn't have to be the same passion. It's just permission to have fun again and do your talent and truth. I mean, think about a young child. When you're in your essence and your truth and you're being just beautiful, authentic you, it's not ego. It's just, you're just shining and everybody else is happy because of it. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to share your talent, whatever that is, and pursue that talent. So that's something a lot of times families I've worked with where it's so serious. Maybe they've had business issues, which they had to shut down or figure business at home. The kids are home, homeschooling, whatever, because the schools were closed in their state. And they forgot the passion, to do something like that. And they also forgot to play. Simply it was just like survival mode. And, do your work, clean the house, and everything was so structured. There was not a recess at home like you have in school. And the kids' grades were going down and they were like, I don't know, the kids are fighting. We're fighting. Well, yeah. The minute play came back and doing those fun breaks, singing, taking a dance break, it changed the whole energy of the household. It made it was like you finally can breathe again. And the kids feel that energy no matter what. You don't have to say anything. They can feel it just how you're acting. And then they'll
absolutely
fight. If you're fighting with whoever's in your house, spouse, partner, if you're fighting with them, they're going to start fighting with each other, fighting with the puppy, whatever. They're going to model it. So it's not what we do as much as, what we say, it's what we do and how we're being and all we're doing. That's going to make a big difference this year. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a time that I had forgotten how to enjoy my hobbies when she was very young and when it was the toughest time out of that journey. And when I got back into it, I've done musicals in the past. And one of the musicals I did, actually the musical that brought me back into it was The Little Mermaid. And I said, wow, how cool would it be for me to be in the production of The Little Mermaid for my, at that time she was 5 or 6 years old. And so when she came to see me, not to mention that the production that did it was just, the costumes were amazing. Everything just looked amazing. And I was cast as a mer sister. So I got to be a mermaid on stage. And so my daughter was just so overwhelmed with excitement and joy. And she's like, that's my mom. She's a mermaid on the stage. And it was just really cool to see her so thrilled for me. And, and I think that's important. It's like, we want to be thrilled for the things our kids do, but it should be vice versa. Your kids should be thrilled for the things that you're doing too, whether it's something you accomplished at work or something you created or something like singing and dancing. It's, don't forget, just age is just a number. The more you keep up with your hobbies, the cooler that your kids think you are.
Yeah. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and I would like to give a special thank you and shout out to the sponsor of this episode, and that is Kindred Bravely, a premium maternity and nursing brand that makes it easy for mothers to find functional, stylish, comfortable clothing. Since launching in 2015, Kindred Bravely has grown into a sisterhood of moms who help each other transition from the bump to the breast and beyond. Kindred Bravely is here for moms no matter where they are on their motherhood journey. Their mission is a comfortable bra in every nursing mother's wardrobe. Things like premium, super soft fabrics, including bamboo and organic cotton, supportive wire-free bras for a variety of sizes, including special busty sizing for E to I cups, bras for nursing, pumping, or both at the same time. Sports bras, sleep and comfort bras, versatile everyday bras, and more. Ultra comfortable bras, undies, sleepwears, loungewear, and activewear. Bump-friendly tops and bottoms, nursery-friendly dresses, tanks, and tees, and so much more. Visit kindredbravely.com and use discount code SheilaMac20 to save 20% on your purchase. That's at Kindred, Kindred, Bravely, BRAVELY.com, kindredbravely.com. And use discount code SheilaMac20 to save 20% on your purchase. If you are just... Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. What to do about the mental health crisis facing parents and small business owners as our world reopens. Dear Sheila, I'm a parent and small business owner, and I admit I'm concerned about stepping back into full-time operations as my city starts to reopen. The other day, my close friend, who also runs a business, called me in tears as she found out one of her employees had attempted to take his own life due to all the isolation this year. As a small business owner and leader of my home, how do I help my family and check in on my employees while rebuilding and reinventing my entire business? I also struggle with my own mixed emotions as I prepare to reopen. How can I stay on track and mentally strong during these times? Signed, Boss Mom. Dear Boss Mom, this is definitely the year for rebooting and reinventing how we all run our businesses and homes. Allow time to possibly have a soft or slower reopening while taking good care of you. As the leader, how you show up each day is going to set the pace and emotional state of how your employees, clients, and family show up. It is more about how you choose to be and all that you are doing that will make all the difference. In the Boots formula I created, there are some steps that can help. The B in Boots is for being. It's about who you are being in all you are doing and who you need to be during this situation. You are going to have to show up and be very different than you were before this crisis. The first O in the Boots formula is for orientation. In order to get the outcomes you desire, you must be brutally honest here. I want X and I have zero funds for that project. Your outcomes this year need to be realigned to where you find your new orientation on the map. The next O in the Boots formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and where your orientation is on your map, you can decide in which order you must do things for the remainder of this year to achieve realistic outcomes. The order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the Boots formula is for thinking. This is where mindset and your concern to stay strong and help your family and employees maintain mental health awareness comes in. This year especially, setting healthy boundaries and having the resources available to connect loved ones to the right tools can make all the difference. Remember, you don't have to be all and have all the answers, yet the right resources for your employees and family really helps. The S in the Boots formula is for stepping up. This is the part that takes all of the other pieces you have planned out and puts you and your business back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together for the hurting among us. My hope is that this video series and my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, helps. In my book and on my website, I do provide plenty of free resources to help anyone dealing with a rock bottom situation reinvent and reboot their business and personal life. If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and action steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. Today we were discussing the beauty and fun of being a mom and of doing incredible things. Fun of travel as a career, travel as something that you may want to do in your life. I personally traveled for 7 years straight. I enjoyed learning from some of the finest people on the planet, incredible mentors such as Tony Robbins, Dr. Wayne Dyer when he was with us. I had a blast with the travels, and as a parent of 6 children, I still had my youngest 2 children at home with me, and we actually did what a lot of people are doing this year and the kids did independent study and traveled with me for 2 years straight, and I'm telling you, they learned so much from the experience of traveling. And like I said, me traveling full time as they all started going to college, I just kept on traveling and then visiting all my kids in the dorms. And so with that, there's always a time in life. And right now, I'm sure people feel like a little concerned. Maybe, is the world ever going to open up again? Will we get to travel again? And yes, there are actually many opportunities to already start traveling. And if you feel like it's not exactly the time, it will be at some point. I really have faith in that, in our science, and just in the fact that things do come and go, and we keep moving on as a human race and humanity. We always find ways to make things available to us, especially beautiful things like traveling and getting to know people from around the world connects us even more. And so right now we may have to be traveling more through our computers with online listening and online courses. I know I offer 14 different online courses that I teach every week, and so I get to travel all over the place from my little recording studio, and I really enjoy that because now I have clients and students in my courses that are from other sides of the planet that maybe would have never joined had it not been for the pandemic worldwide pause. And so I know that we already have open invitations for when they start traveling again, that I am going to visit them in their countries, and they are also going to come visit me, and we're going to give each other the tours from somebody who lives in the city, and that's going to be a blast. So one of the things that's really important is with travel, and maybe you don't love travel, but there's something about just getting away and giving yourself time, taking those breaks, taking the learning experiences, and it's to me, it goes back to self-care and spirituality, whatever that may be for you, and how to have those times even this year when we may be staying home a little bit more than usual and not traveling as much. How can we make sure to give ourselves the vacation time and even the small trips. Sometimes I know lots of people, they live in a state or a country and they haven't even seen their own beautiful sites, their own botanical gardens or historic places to visit, mountains to climb in the area, what have you. So it may be that you're going to be traveling and having your own adventure as a family or even as a work group, as something fun to do, where maybe you go have a work meeting at one of the botanical gardens or some other place in the area that is permitted, and that you can get out of the office or out of homes and into nature. So that is another idea. Right now, I wanted to share a little bit from my chapter in my book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And I wanted to share a little bit from the chapter I have on self-care and spirituality. All right, everyone, take a listen. Chapter 10, Self-Care and Spirituality. Lisa's husband passed away. As a couple, they had recently agreed that they were going to sell their house and move to a retirement community, and now she had to do that alone. Between the loss of her husband and the home her son had grown up in, Lisa was hit with a double whammy of grief. As anyone who has lost someone knows, grief causes stress levels to rise exponentially. On top of that, selling a house and moving, even when it's a planned, happier move, is also stressful and can be unsettling. You lose things, objects get broken, and you have to readjust to a new place. Lisa wasn't just moving away from the house where she'd raised her son. She was also leaving the neighborhood she'd lived in for 45 years, where her friends lived, and where she volunteered in the community. She felt she was losing everything in her life at once. Lisa and I started talking because she needed some support through all these decisions and upheaval. She was even overwhelmed with things she was usually quite good at, her paperwork and taxes, because of all the changes she was going through at once. As we talked, she told me how she took care of her husband, her son, and her community. But she had never taken time for herself, and now she was faced with too much time. I gave her the challenge of doing one thing for herself every day, as if she was doing it for her husband or close friend. If someone showed up on her doorstep in pain, stressed out, or going through something, Lisa would drop everything to help that person. Now, though, that person would be her. She was going to give herself as much attention, honor, and love as she gave to so many other people. And I asked her to send me pictures of her doing these things, so she would be held accountable. At first she was like, "Are you crazy?" I promised her it would help, even though she thought it would be dumb. For me, I told her, do it for me if you're not going to do it for yourself. The first day, Lisa sent me a picture of herself getting her nails done with the text, "I haven't had my nails done in months, not since before Dave got sick. It felt so good, and you were right. I kind of needed that break." "Great," I replied. "What are you doing tomorrow?" From survival mode to self-care. When we hit rock bottom situations in life, it tends to send us into survival mode. And when we're in that place, we're so busy making ends meet, struggling with grief, loss, and pain, and dealing with whatever is going on, that we don't have a choice but to eliminate some of the things we usually do. When we have to go to work, then go visit somebody in the hospital, then pick up your kids, and you still have to make dinner and maintain a certain level of cleanliness in your home, or whatever duties you have to do, taking an hour for yourself to go to the gym or meditate gets pushed aside. It's just today, you tell yourself, but then tomorrow comes and goes, and another day and another. The next thing you know, it's been a month or two, and then you really start to notice the difference. One day, you wake up and you're not who you used to be. When you aren't practicing self-care, it shows up all over. Maybe you're exhausted and not sleeping right. Maybe you're off your healthy diet. Perhaps you've pushed your meditation practice and it's showing up at work or with relationships. You start snapping at people you would never snap at. When you're already at rock bottom with one situation and then you realize how many of your healthy habits went in the fallout, it can be overwhelming. You've hit another rock bottom and you may be looking around and thinking, how do I get from here back to where I was? You start over. One step at a time. Starting over sounds scary, but there is good news. Your muscles have memory. Your body remembers healthy eating, and you can catch up on your sleep, but it's not going to happen in one day. It took you more than one day to reach this rock bottom place. One day of not cleaning up doesn't bring a mess into your life. One day of extra spending doesn't necessarily lead to a negative cash flow situation, so it's going to take a few days or even weeks to get back to where you were. The fastest way to start climbing up from rock bottom is to take small steps and focus on little wins. Do one small chore that's fallen by the wayside, and then one reward to yourself, and do one small act of self-care too. As you do one, the other becomes easier, and you climb back up from your rock bottom. Is a portion of Chapter 10 in my bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom and back into action in any situation. Tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and I have a special Happy New Year announcement for you. That's right, just for beautiful, authentic you. So in this new year, I am personally plugging in all my 2022 up-leveling routines. That's right, I'm not doing goals, or as much to say as I'm not just doing a resolution that I talk about or just write it down on a list. I'm actually already scheduling in the small acts that I need to do each day that are actually going to bring me results over this 365, I guess, or less now, when you're listening in 363 to whatever it is, days. So at any rate, one of the things that I would like to introduce is that we will be having some talks on business and investing. That's right, business and investing reboots this year. So if you are looking to do a side gig, or you have a business yourself, or you're in a career and you are looking to earn some extra money, I have some tips and different things that my family, I have 6 grown children, we will all be participating in some of these and trying them out and sharing opportunities with you. And then we will also be talking about real estate investing, which is something that I have done since I was very young. So my real estate investing experience comes from, well, when I was 18 and a half years old, I bought my first little triplex. I was already working at Jet Propulsion Lab in JPL in Pasadena, California, where we have the famous Rose Bowl every year right near there. And so I saved up my money and bought this little triplex. It was very humble kind of fixer thing. And I lived in the back teeny tiny unit and rented out the best parts to everyone else. I guess I was house hacking before that was a term. And I continued to save up and invest. I was very creative on my financing, still going to school and working. So, from that to investing in many different properties, I started gift stores at 23, and the first one I leased at $5,000 a month. And I said, wait a minute, That's a lot of money to be giving to somebody, the landlord, every single month. And my mortgage, if I can save up enough to put down, I can get into a mortgage. And you know what? With business credit, which I will be sharing all about, I did just that. And business credit is a magical secret. So if you don't have a side gig, that's why that first part is important with your investing, is to have that extra income or side gig, have an LLC or an S Corp. So setting that up at 23 when I started my gift stores, by the end of the first year, I had more buying power than most people. I had a corporation's buying power. Like, they would give me credit. You can't believe I could just walk into any dealership and they'd have these specials. I'd get the best credit, like 0 interest. I'd be able to negotiate the deals on things, different vans or whatever I needed for the store. And it was just incredible. And I actually used the business credit to purchase some of the properties. One was the headquarters and rental property. And so I had some mixed use, and I actually purchased the other 4 buildings and stopped leasing and just became an owner. And so I got into real estate and investing from being an investor, and then later as other store owners were really interested and wondered, wait a minute, you're half my age, they would say. And how are you buying buildings? What is going on? And so with that, I went ahead and I got my real estate license and started sharing about that. Worked at a small owned brokerage. And then from there, helped and led some real estate courses for real estate agents on 1031 exchange, and have done multiple 1031 exchanges and helped many small business owners and families to invest in property. So I'll be sharing about my journey and how this year, even if you think, this sounds like, how is this possible? I'm going to help you figure out if that's something you're interested in, ways that you can make it become a real possibility for 2022 moving forward. So I hope you tune into my show. There will be some upgrades. We will still be doing lots of incredible interviews with amazing people, sharing about resources and reboots and ways they got back on track, and hearing their stories. And also we will be getting step-to-step challenges and ways for you to tune in, call in, and ask questions and be guided to actually make 2022 a wonderful time for your business and your personal life. All right, so stay tuned. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon.
The Hebo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build the red corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95 plus shipping. To order, please visit lovemysupertea.com. That's love, L-O-V-E, my, M-Y, super, S-U-P-E-R-T-T-E-A.com. So the complete website is lovemysupertea.com. Or call us at 818-288-4128, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5 California time. That's lovemysupertea.com at 818-288-4128.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMac.com today.